So, I'm going to offer a very controversial statement here, and that's that the majority of medical doctors are not scientists. At the very best, you could say that they are practitioners that work in a science-based field. But the field of medicine is ripe full of bad science. Doctors are clinicians. They're practitioners. They're not scientists. Very few of them are trained in. They don't receive the rigorous training in any of the following areas, and truly learning the scientific method, experimental design. Almost none of them know how to run advanced statistics, and they don't even know how to interpret advanced statistics. They rely on the editors and the peer review people to interpret the statistics for them, and that's a very, very dangerous ground. And if you walk into your doctor's office and you mention the word parasites to most physicians, you're just going to see their eyes glaze over. And it's not because these people are cruel. It's because they've been trained not to see it. That this is the system is broken. Our medical establishment is evil. I believe that most doctors are good people, but they're indoctrinated in an evil establishment. And so I'm not blaming the medical doctors, I'm blaming the system. But we need to shine light on the system that is evil and broken and profit-driven, rather than patient outcome-driven, rather than, that we need to heal people rather than manage symptoms. So, and you go back and okay, all these doctors that we all hold in such high regard, right? Who were they in school, in high school, junior high and stuff, right? They were the so-called teacher's pets. They were the straight A student types, right? They were the people not getting in trouble between class and ditching class. They were the people not challenging the authority figures. And to have a scientific mind, I would argue you have to have that personality that does challenge authority to be a scientist, a true scientist. So what is it to be a scientist? What is science? What does it really mean to follow the scientific method, right? And this is really lost. And this isn't limited to just medical doctors. I would say many academics who consider themselves scientists and are very well published do not follow the scientific method appropriately. Karl Popper, I believe it was around the 1920s, he stated that the criterion of scientific status of theory is its falsifiability, meaning you have to something has to be able to be proven wrong, right? So Karl Popper taught that science isn't about proving ourselves right. It's about giving reality and time a chance to prove us wrong. And I'm of the mind that when somebody proves me wrong, when somebody teaches me something new, a new perspective, a new theory, I'm grateful for it, because that means I learned and I grow. I don't double down in my ideology. I'm like, oh wow, that's a really fantastic approach. That's really amazing information. I grow, I learn, and that's what true scientific minds do. But in our current medical field, when things refuse to be falsified, and beliefs hide from challenge, it stops being science and it becomes belief. Falsifiability isn't just a logical rule, it's an ethical stance. It's something that demands intellectual honesty, the willingness to let the data destroy your favorite ideas. When I was trying to articulate things in terms of my parasitic symptoms and infections a few years ago, I went on to Reddit, and one of the handles I chose on Reddit was "Prove Me Wrong," and I think maybe science or doctors. Maybe it was "Prove Me Wrong, Doctors." But none of them would take the time to try to prove me wrong. None of them. They all just dismissed me and discarded me and my symptoms. It was beyond invalidating. And so I had to figure a way to craft things and to frame things in the right way. And so I had to go with scientific inquiry. Like, how can I break this down? This broken system, these indoctrinated people, where they felt righteous in looking down at me and exacerbating my circumstances. And going back to Karl Popper, he wrote that a genuine scientist must be prepared to give up his theory if it's shown to be false. And all we have to do is look at COVID and the pandemic and stuff, where anybody who challenged the narrative, be it a medical doctor or a research scientist, a PhD, they got shut down. They were canceled. They were completely canceled, and it was way worse than that. So the people, the doctors who did push the vaccine on all of their patients, were rewarded financially, big time, right? And it's not limited to the mRNA vaccine for COVID. This is true for a variety of treatments, be it pharmacological treatments, or surgeries, or various cancer treatments. That the whole reward system in medicine is horrible. That we need to prioritize patient outcome rather than big pharma profits or hospital profits. If we change the reward system of medicine, then we can get true healing. But again, Karl Popper, he saw this line that where you need to prefer truth over being right. When you refuse to let yourself be wrong, then you're acting out of dogma, not out of science, not out of knowledge, gnosis, right? And so once a system begins protecting its theories from being falsifiable by ignoring all the contradictory data, redefining terms or silencing critics, which is what happened to me, it's not science anymore. It's an ideology. It's an evil ideology that's done great harm to millions of people through COVID and other areas. And another great scientific mind is Richard Feynman. He stated, "Science is the belief in the ignorance of experts." And what was the whole narrative during COVID? Well, trust the science, trust the experts. Vaccines have saved millions of lives, right? These were the same lines repeated over and over and over again. And again, Feynman said, science is the belief in the ignorance of the experts. Challenge the experts. And if the experts aren't willing to be challenged, they're fixed in an ideology, and that's certainly not science. And even Albert Einstein, he warned and said, "The unthinking respect for authority is the greatest enemy of truth." When people cannot challenge authority, then this is when lies and evil just take hold, rampant. Real science doesn't demand belief; it demands testing and reproducibility. It demands to be challenged. Everything should be challenged in the field of science. It's always evolving. There are very few laws in science, and most everything is theory. Science, real science, welcomes challenge, invites replication, and it only fears silence. It doesn't fear critics. Because if you have a found scientific principle, it can withstand all the critics. But somewhere along the way, science became scientism. And what scientism is a belief masquerading as inquiry. Consensus replaced curiosity. Authority replaced evidence. Medicine became a maze of protocols, and questioning the maze became heresy. You know? Again, vaccines save millions of lives. That trust the experts. They're the experts for a reason. Well, Tony Fauci, Anthony Fauci, you lost everybody's trust, buddy. You lost everybody's trust. And doctors need to return to the scientific method. And they need to return to scientific curiosity. You know, it's doctors unfortunately have been taught to follow algorithms, right? They're the teacher's pet. Oh, give me an algorithm to follow. I can do that. And instead of exploring the causes. You know, after World War II, the entire medical system shifted from a healing approach and a curative approach to illness to a symptom management approach. And that has done great harm. Great harm, and so much suffering that has been needless, unnecessary. You know, and behind the curtain of all these gatekeepers, the institutions, the publishers, and the big pharma protocols, you know, it's the gatekeepers are awful. The peer review process is awful. My restless leg syndrome video proving the parasitic cause, breaking down the science, is revolutionary. It's not a neurological disruption. The creepy crawly sensations on one's legs, that the need to move, is all in response to parasites, not formication or pruritus or dopamine dysregulation. But my speaking the truth and standing in truth put me in great danger. And I've had a very long road. Because people have been fixed into their ideology. I never went to the peer review process. I didn't even consider it. Because peer review, they would have just made me jump through hoops and hoops. And never would have published anything, even though everything I said there is 100% worthy of being published in the top peer-reviewed journals. And right now, everybody is afraid to dissent because it becomes career suicide. We have that cancel culture thing. It's in academia. It's in medicine. It's in politics. It's in Hollywood. Cancel culture is awful. We need people who dissent. People who think outside of the box. You know, and people are afraid to speak up or think outside of the box because they know that's going to be it. They won't be able to pay their mortgage. You know, they won't be able to provide for their children. But what's happening is that worrying about not being able to pay for your mortgage and staying in line and staying within this box means you're screwing over your grandchildren. Your future grandchildren. You know, and so researchers learn what not to study, what's too taboo. Editors learn what not to print. Peer review colleagues learn what to criticize and what not to criticize, what to critique. And doctors learn what questions not to ask. All in the name of conformity. All in the name of not rocking the boat because they're afraid of getting canceled. They're afraid of their career being killed. We live in a strange time where it's supposedly this age of enlightenment and technical advancement. But what we call science today is really an age of, it's not an age of enlightenment. It's an age of managed perception. Every system, though, that's built on deception has a major weakness, and that's the truth. There's no stopping the truth. It just takes people that have the courage to stand up and speak the truth and to challenge the authority figures no matter the cost. Real discovery doesn't need permission. It needs integrity and courage. Integrity to look honestly at the evidence, all of the evidence. Courage to ask those forbidden questions. Ask the stupid questions. Ask the questions the person next to you is too afraid to, or won't even consider asking. Don't expect somebody else to speak up. Take charge. When things don't add up, say something. Dig into it. Look into the details until they do make sense. Because there's no hiding the truth. When people no longer live in a fear-based state, and the system wants us afraid, the system wants us obedient, the system wants us to comply. Why? Because the system is evil. We need courage to ask these forbidden questions, because when all these qualities return to medicine, the world will heal, humanity will heal, societies will heal, cultures will heal. And people will become more productive and happier. It will be an economic boom of prosperity once we get to the true cause of all these diseases and mental health conditions, which most of them are pathogenic or due to trauma, like psychological trauma, and physical traumas and psychological traumas. And there are effective treatments that have been withheld. Good scientists have had their lives ruined for having profound insights into healing, that research that would have led to profound innovations in the healing of trauma and parasites. And it's tragic. And again, we need to restructure the incentive structure of medicine and science and the whole system. But when it comes to medicine, well, when it comes to science needs to be maximally truth-seeking, and it has to be, people have to be, encourage people to challenge them and prove them wrong. And in medicine, patient outcomes need to be prioritized over big pharma profits, over hospital profits. Because when patients are seen and heard as suffering people rather than subscribers for profit that never ends, this is when true healing begins. The tragedy of modern science and modern medicine isn't that it lacks intelligence. It lacks parsimony and simplicity. And it lacks courage. Not enough people are willing to stand up and speak out, or haven't been. But this needs to change. Truth tellers need to find that courage and speak up. Too many just conform and comply. We live in a time where those who disobey end up homeless or on the streets, or, as considered parasites of society. Unfortunately, medical providers almost never truly question the narrative. They believe in the people, in the quality of the experimental design that was done in the clinical trials research that their treatments are based off of. And they believe in the medical diagnostics are accurate. That's no. There's lies, and there's evil science out there. There's data manipulation. There's cherry picking of the data to push a certain narrative. There's science where people run an experiment, and then they get the data, and then once they have the data, then they try to craft a narrative from the data, a story from the data that fits sort of in with the whole narrative that's going on. And that doesn't lead to innovation. That just perpetuates a broken system. You know, true healing begins when courage returns to science and medicine and beyond. This isn't limited to the medical field. But doctors, researchers, citizens who dare to look beyond the algorithms and truly look outside of the box that we've been confined to. Because it is a big, the world of ideas is endless. And science is always evolving, and medicine is always evolving. You know, the system can suppress papers. They can silence voices. But they can't silence the truth forever. Because truth, like itself, it finds a way. And eventually all the lies and deception will be exposed, and eventually we will heal, and we will get to the truth. So, I encourage, I want to reiterate that this is not an attack on the medical doctors per se. It's an attack on the medical establishment. It's an attack on the scientific establishment. It's an attack on the profit-based system rather than the patient outcome-based system. I'm sorry, but medicine should always prioritize patient outcomes over everything else. Everything else is secondary. That pharmaceuticals should not be allowed to advertise. I'm sorry, if you have a drug or a treatment that is going to save or improve the lives of countless people, there's zero need to advertise. If your product is that amazing, you don't need to advertise. And when they do advertise, their goal is multifactorial. It's not because they have such an amazing product. It's an indoctrination for us to believe that we need to take pills to heal on a subscription-based level. And also, when they're paying for all these advertisements on TV and stuff, well, then they get to control the narrative of what the networks put on the TV, on the news, in the programs themselves, where people don't question the narrative. They don't question the authority figures. That's not scientific. That's dogmatic. That's I don't know. Anyways, there's no stopping the truth now, and I just encourage everybody to be open and receptive to logical approaches to attack somebody's beliefs. When your beliefs become ideology and you refuse change and development and new perspectives, we've lost. And when you can't challenge the experts, we've lost. But healing is coming. The truth is coming. And everything's about to change, and it's going to be beautiful. It is beautiful. And don't give up hope. You know, I really encourage people to dig into my stuff, my channel, to find my restless leg syndrome video, my why the medical system doesn't care about you video, my why black Americans smoke menthol cigarettes video, where I proved long-standing systemic racism and classism. Because it's not just black Americans. The medical system, the establishment, is evil, and the only way that we can make a healthy, good establishment is by standing in truth. So, join me on this crusade to get the truth out there, and let's heal, because we will heal. We can heal together. Have a great day.